My name's Dave Burse. I have what you would call a portfolio career. I'm formerly an advertising creative director, but I don't do that anymore. I'm editor-at-large for The Drum. I run onedaycodeschool.com. I run The Drum Studios. I write television shows. I do music, and I have so many side projects, it's just ridiculous. The creative economy is a bit of a strange thing because actually a lot of the stuff when we were talking about the industry, we describe it as the creative industry, but in many ways it's not really creativity that is what we're making money out of in the industry here. A lot of creativity is actually quite subdued. We're trying to solve problems for clients. Curiosity is the most important thing. I'm sure anyone who's a creative has come here has probably said the same thing. Curiosity is the difference between people who are workaday people who do the job and the people who are freaking excellent. It's this hunger to learn. It's the restlessness where you are not happy with where you are in your life and what you're doing. You want to get better. You want to do more interesting things. When you see stuff that you wish you'd done, it pisses you off. So you want to learn how to do stuff like that. That's absolutely vital to be a great creative person. Obviously in the creative industries there's other skills that are required, so as well as the people who are doing the creative solutions, you need the people who are the doers, who make things happen. So these people are absolutely vital, and the thing that we have had traditionally in the industry is that these different roles would be very separated. So you'd have the creatives, you'd have the planners, you'd have the account handlers, and they were very different. They never overlapped. The more smudging we get, the better work we get. And it's people who spread out beyond that one role into other roles are the ones who I believe are doing the most interesting thing. I wouldn't say talent and knowledge is becoming more important than experience. I think talent at the very beginning, it needs to be honed. And you only know how to develop your talent to make it really useful with experience. So talent with experience creates something that's truly excellent. I'm a great fan of knowledge. I think, again, if you're curious, you're going to be so hungry for knowledge. I work a lot in education, so I teach at universities around the world. I go into companies and I consult with them and teach them how to embrace the opportunities. So knowledge is absolutely vital, and I've got to say there's not enough hunger for knowledge that I'm seeing in the industry. There's an unbelievable amount of blasé ignorance, and we need people to be picking up as much information about brain science, about behavioral economics, social psychology, about technology, about computer programming. All of these things are really, really important. And if creatives particularly, that I can talk about from my experience as a former creative, if creatives aren't hungry for those kind of skills and learning those things, I don't think they're performing properly. If you're curious, you'll find a way. And one of the problems that I've found with creative departments is very often I'd wander around my creative department and find people on YouTube and ask them what they're doing, and they say that, well, I'm looking for inspiration. Well, actually, no. Get out the office. Piss off. Out the office. Go into the real world. Find inspiration from humans. Because what you're actually doing on there is not necessarily looking for inspiration, which is going to give insight to your brief. You're wasting a bit of time. It's mental chewing gum. You can pretend it's inspiration. Yes, when you have come up with your idea, you can go to YouTube and start looking at how you can be inspired and how to execute it, but that's not where you look for your idea. Your idea comes from human insight, and it comes from going out into the real world and understanding what motivates people. I think creativity, technical knowledge, commercial awareness are definitely really important things that people need to have a grasp of all of those. I think creativity, there's a lot of creatives who will like to do creative things for the sake of doing something creative. And it's not necessarily that it's going to make the change that the client's wanting. They're doing something that they think might look good in an awards, or something that they can tell their friends down the pub. But commercial awareness, there's not enough of that in creative departments, because it's a business. Advertising and marketing is this strange collision of art and commerce. And these things, there's always going to be tension between them. But great creatives are the ones who understand that, and understand that you're using creativity to solve business problems. And that means that the client is giving the agency X amount of money, and they're expecting the work that comes back to generate X amount of money plus a little bit more. And if a creative understands that, then they're going to make that the problem they're trying to solve, rather than trying to get something into awards. Yes, I think there's so many ways that there's so many more opportunities thanks to technology of ways of using your talents, your creative abilities. It used to be that if you wanted to get a bit of film made, you either became a filmmaker or you get into the ad industry. And the ad industry let the people who weren't good enough to be filmmakers or passionate enough to be filmmakers, it let them create pieces of film. Anyone can create pieces of film now. We've got this incredible democratization of creativity. That's what technology has created. That's the most incredible thing. That I used to think that when people said that there was going to be a creative revolution in this century, the 21st century was the century of creativity, I thought that it was going to be individual creative people were the ones who are going to rise to be the heroes of society. And the opposite has happened. What's happened is we've had a diffusion of creativity where everyone now can be creative. And that kids can get free editing software, they can use cameras on phones, and they can do stuff that's an incredible standard, and they are. It's extraordinary to see. And that's stuff that, when I was starting out in the ad industry, you couldn't do that unless you managed to sell an idea to a client and create a piece of animation that kids, my daughter was making claymation animation films at the age of 7. The only way I could have done that when I was even in my early 20s was to sell that kind of idea to a client. And that is extraordinary. I think that's a wonderful thing, and technology has freed us from those constraints, which means that now you don't have to be in the advertising industry to create great creative things. And when I was hiring people, I was interested in people who were doers. Not people who just came and showed me a portfolio of work that I could go through and go, yeah, that's nice work. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay. I was more interested in the people who would say, yeah, and then here's a clothing range that I've actually got. You can buy this stuff online. Here's some graffiti I've done. I'm doing cake decoration. This is a cake that I made recently. These people interested me because they were passionate and they were doers. I'm more interested in what people do outside of the office, and then find how I can use that passion within the office. I think one of the things that we've discussed here is that at Google, 20% of the time is spent on people doing side projects. I think side projects are amazingly important. I used to work at a wonderful agency called Polk, and there we did lots of side projects, so that individual people had things they were doing on the side, and the agency also had projects it was doing that weren't fee-paying projects on the side. I think that's a really important thing, because you learn by doing, and more agencies just need to do shit. And then after they've done it, they'll work out what the value of it is. Don't do it for the sake of only because a brief's come in. If you learn from doing something, you've picked up new skills that you can sell. It all works, and there's not enough of that happening in agencies. I'd like to see more of that. Naturally, I'm biased. And I would say that coding is something that everyone should understand. This is the language of the future. And kids are learning to code. And if adults don't learn how to do it, then they're going to be overtaken pretty quickly. Because this is how you make things happen, by knowing how to tell computers how to do things. And it lets you experiment. If you know the basics of code, you can just do things really quickly. So it's one of the things. I've got onedaycodeschool.com, which I go into companies and I teach groups of people, take them from no understanding of code to, at the end of a day, they actually know they can look at the source code of any web page and they can understand it. They've already, by then, hand-coded their own web page using HTML, CSS, and a little bit of JavaScript. And they understand it. And if you understand it more, you understand the opportunities more. And I think that that's just a level of literacy that everyone now should have in industry.
Source LF are London's leading creative communications and media recruitment agency. Be sure to like our video and subscribe to this channel. Take the moment to watch another of our videos on screen now.